Hello everyone. Through this session, you are going to learn Open Shortest Path First configuration using Cisco Packet Tracer. The aim is to simulate and test Open Shortest Path First OSPF routing protocol using Cisco Packet Tracer. The objectives include the following: to simulate the routing protocol, check the updated routing tables, and check the connectivity among the devices. To analyze of OSPF routing metric calculation, to analyze the OSPF routing tables before and after activation of alternate routing path. The requirement is of Cisco Packet Tracer. Now let me brief you about the Open Shortest Path First protocol. OSPF is a dynamic routing protocol in the sense it learns the routes dynamically in a network topology. It is interior gateway routing protocol. It is a link state routing protocol and uses Dijkstra's algorithm to determine the shortest path. OSPF is a link state routing algorithm. It takes the routing decisions based on the link states. Unlike in the RIP routing protocol, we have seen that in RIP routing protocol, the routing is based on the distance vectors, that is the number of hops. OSPF is meant for use in an autonomous system. An autonomous system is the one which is governed by a single organization. OSPF uses cost as the routing metric, which accounts for bandwidth, and cost of the link is inversely proportional to the bandwidth. So the cost metric should be as minimum as possible. It is inversely proportional to the link bandwidth, and cost in a particular routing path is the addition of all the link costs in that path. Actually, cost in the OSPF routing protocol, the link cost in OSPF routing protocol is calculated as the reference bandwidth divided by the outgoing interface bandwidth. The reference bandwidth is the bandwidth of the fast internet interface, which is 100 Mbps, and the denominator is the bandwidth of the outgoing interface on the router. 100 Mbps is nothing but 10 raised to 8. So the cost metric for a link becomes 10 raised to 8 divided by the bandwidth of the outgoing interface. Let me write here again. It is 10 to the power 8 divided by the bandwidth of the outgoing interface, and the entire path will have the number of nodes right from source to destination. So here the bandwidth will, here the cost will be the cumulative cost on this link plus the cost on this link plus the cost on this link, and the cost for choosing the routing path should be the minimum cost. OSPF has administrative distance value of 110. Administrative distance value is a feature that routers use in order to select the best path. The AD value can be between 0 and 255. 0 means the best path and 255 means the worst path. OSPF has got the AD value of 110, and OSPF messages are 5 in number. OSPF uses 5 different messages: hello messages, data page description messages, link state request messages, link state update messages, link state acknowledgement messages. Use of these messages will be clear to you by the discussion of the OSPF OSPF router operation states. There are 3 different types of tables in OSPF: the neighbor table, the topology table, and the routing table. The neighbor table stores the information about the OSPF neighbors. The topology table stores topology structure of a network, and the routing table stores the best routes. OSPF operates in 7 different states: the down state, init state or initialization state, two-way state, Xstart state, exchange state, loading state, and full state. Now let us try to understand all of these states. Let us consider a network section wherein there are two routers, router A and router B. Initially, both these routers are in down state, in the sense they are unaware of each other. In init state, the router A sends multicast hello message saying that I am 172.16.0.1. So in init state, router A sends the multicast using the IP address 224.0.0.5 to number of its neighbors, and one of the router who is configured with OSPF will send the unicast to router A. Let's say router B is the router which is configured with OSPF, then router B will send the unicast hello message to router A saying that I am 172.16.0.2. So in initialization state, the hello messages are exchanged between the two routers. Hello packets are exchanged between the two routers, two neighboring routers. In two-way state, router A says hello to router B. Router A says hello, router B, I am 172.16.0.1, and router B similarly says hello to router A. It says hello router A, I am 172.16.0.2. So here in two-way state, the neighbor adjacency is developed between the neighboring routers. And in two-way state, again the routers exchange the hello messages. So these hello messages are utilized in the init state, this init state. They are utilized in the two-way state, and they are also utilized in the exstart state. Exstart state. In exstart state, each router gets an ID which is the highest among all the interface IDs, and this ID is called as the router ID. And router ID for a router is usually the highest IP address of the physical active interface. For example, or for router A, the physical active interface has got the IP address 172.16.0.1. Another interfaces on this router are having the IP addresses like 30.0.0.1 and 10.0.0.1. Let's say the last interface on this router is a local loopback interface which is used for the loopback testing, and let's say the IP address of this local loopback interface is 127.0.0.1. Now this router A has got these four different interfaces having these IP addresses. Router A has this active physical interface with IP address 172.16.0.1, and this active physical interface is having the highest IP address. So the router ID for this router A will be 172.16.0.1. But in case this physical interface of router A is having the IP address 66.0.0.1 and the local loopback interface IP address is 127.0.0.1, then in that case the local loopback interface is having the highest IP address, and the router ID in that case will be the IP address of this local loopback interface. Fine. Now similarly for router B, the router ID can be this 172.16.0.2 if the other interfaces on this router B are having the IP addresses like 20.0.0.1, then say 50.2.1.1, and here the local loopback testing address is say 127.6.0.1. So among all these IP addresses, the physical active interface has got the IP address which is highest 172.16.0.2, and thus the router ID for router B will become 172.16.0.2. Now let's say the router A has got the router ID as 172.16.0.1 and router B has the router ID as 172.16.0.2. Now out of these two router IDs, router B is having the highest IP address router ID, and thus the router B will say that I am the master and you are the slave, and I will initiate the communication first. So this is done in the exstart state. In exstart state, the decision for the master and the slave is done between the neighboring routers. So here the router B says that my ID is greater than that of router A, and so it will communicate first. Then in this extract state also the hello messages are exchanged between the neighboring routers. Next state is the exchange state. In exchange state, the neighboring routers exchange the link state databases. In the link state databases carry the link state advertisements, LSA packets. They carry the link state advertisements. And in exchange state, the database description messages are exchanged between the routers. These database description messages carry the link state advertisements. These database description messages carry the link state advertisements. Now in exchange state, the link states are advertised between the two neighboring routers and the databases are updated. Then next state is the loading state. In loading state, each of the router checks its own database and identifies that some of the link state advertisements are missing. For example, router A identifies that the link state advertisement for 172.20.0.5 is missing in its link state database. So router A will send request in the exchange state by using the link state request packet, LSR packet, link state request packet, saying that I want the information for the 172.20.0.5, and in response to this, router B will send the link state update message. Router A sends the link state request for 172.20.0.5, which is missing in its link state database, and in response to this, the router B will send link state update message saying that here you can have the updation for the missing route 172.20.0.5, and once this link state update is received by router A will acknowledge it by sending the link state acknowledgement message to router B. So this is done in the loading state. In loading state, the missing link state information is updated by each of the routers, and once this is done, the full state is used by the OSPF routers. In full state, the routers thank each other by exchanging the link state acknowledgement messages. Once the entire information is fully loaded in their databases, all the link state advertisements are updated in the databases, the link state acknowledgement messages are exchanged between the routers in the full state. So here you have understood the 7 operating stages of the OSPF routers, and you have also understood the use of these OSPF messages. Now we are going to consider this network scenario wherein there are 3 routers, router 0, router 1 and router 2, and there are 6 networks altogether: LAN 1, LAN 2, LAN 3, then WAN 1, WAN 2 and this WAN 3. And the IP addresses are configured as shown in this network scenario, and the link bandwidths are also noted using the commands in Cisco Packet Tracer, and they are mentioned in this diagram. Now let us try to calculate the OSPF metric for this topology before and after the activation of this WAN link 3. So here in this OSPF configuration, first of all we are going to keep the WAN link 3 in inactive state, and then we are going to calculate the cost metric right from router 0 to this network 30.0.0.0, that is LAN 3. So we are interested in calculating the routing path cost metric from router 0 to LAN 3. Now here I have drawn the diagram to explain the cost metric calculation. The bandwidths I have recorded from the Cisco Packet Tracer using the interface, show interface and particular interface number FA0/0. This command will show the bandwidth available on this interface FA0/0. So using such command for the other interfaces also, serial interfaces also, I have noted down the bandwidth, and I have changed the default bandwidth on the serial links here. So the bandwidth found on this Pass Ethernet interface is 100 Mbps. Bandwidth on this serial interface is set to 5000 kbps using the bandwidth command on that particular interface. The bandwidth on the link between R1 and R2 is 2500 kbps, and the bandwidth on The fastest interface of R2 is again 100 Mbps. Now we are interested in determining the cost metric from R0 to 30 dot network. So the cost metric is shown over here. The cost will be equal to this 100 Mbps reference bandwidth divided by 5000 kbps plus again 100 Mbps reference bandwidth divided by 2500 kbps for the second link plus the 100 Mbps reference bandwidth divided by the bandwidth of this outgoing interface of this router R2, which is the bandwidth of this fastest interface 100 Mbps. So the cost will be equal to 20 plus 20 plus 1, which is equal to 61. So here you can observe in the routing table of the router 0 before activation of WAN 3 link that the router 0 can reach this 30 dot network with an AD value of 110 and the cost metric of 61 via the gateway 170.16.0.2, and it takes this much amount of time in microsecond to reach that network, and it utilizes serial 2/0 to reach that network. Here in this routing table you can see the paths learnt through OSPF. O stands for the path learned through OSPF and C is the directly connected network for this router 0. Router 0 has got two directly connected networks before the activation of this WAN 3 link. The two directly connected networks for router 0 are 10 dot network and this 170.16.0.0 network. Fine. Now after this we are going to activate this WAN 3 link, and again we are going to check out the updated routing table for router 0. In the updated routing table you can observe here this directly connected network is added in the routing table of router 0 because now the WAN 3 link is activated, this link is activated, and you can observe the change in the cost metric to reach the 30 dot network. The cost metric for reaching the 30 dot network from router 0 is now reduced to 14. Let us try to calculate this cost metric. Now here we consider the routing path from R0 router to this 30 dot network. Now this time the OSPF routing protocol will prefer the least cost path. There are two alternate paths available here, this first path and this is the second path. In second path the routing metric was 61, which I have explained you earlier, and now after the activation of WAN 3 link the routing metric or routing cost will be reduced. The cost will be calculated as reference bandwidth 100 Mbps divided by 7500 kilobits per second plus again the reference bandwidth 100 Mbps for this link divided by the 100 Mbps bandwidth for this link. So in this entire path there are two links, this WAN 3 link and this fast Ethernet interface link. So the back cost will be equal to this 13.33, 100 by 17500 is 13.33 plus 100 by 100 is 1. So total cost is 14.33, which is approximately equal to 14, and thus the OSPF router 0 will update the cost to reach the 30 dot network as 14, and OSPF router will choose this cost now, this path for routing the packets from router R0 to say this network 30.0. Now this table shows the IP address configuration and the clock rate configuration details. You can note down these IP addresses, but it is not necessary that you should follow same IP addressing scheme. You can use other IP addresses also. Here in this table I have noted down the bandwidths available on the fast Ethernet interfaces and the serial interfaces on each of the router. Then let us discuss the configuration commands which are required on the three routers. Initially, I will be changing the hostname of the routers with the hostname command, and then you can set the IP addresses on each of the interfaces of router 0, router 1 and router 2. This is IP address configuration on fast Ethernet interface of router 0, IP address configuration and clock rate configuration on serial interface of 2/0. Similarly, the configuration are followed on router 1 and router 2 also. And this is the IP address configuration on serial interface of 3/0. Now here you have to note that the WAN 3 link is not activated yet. The WAN 3 link is not activated because no shut command is not used on this serial interface. Similarly, you have to note here on router 2, we are not going to activate the WAN 3 link initially. Now after configuring these IP addresses, we are going to check the routing tables for the routers without the configuration of OSPF. So we are going to check first of all the routing table before the OSPF configuration, and we'll find in this routing tables only the availability of the directly connected networks. Now these are the OSPF configuration commands. On router 0, the first OSPF configuration command is router OSPF and the process ID. The process ID can be between 1 to 65535. This ID is used to initialize the process, OSPF process on the router. Next, you have to advertise the neighbors on the routers. So the command is network IP address of that neighbor 10.0.0.0. The wildcard mask required for this class A IP address, wildcard mask is exactly reverse of the normal mask for class A. The normal mask for class A is 255.0.0.0. Exactly reverse of this becomes the wildcard mask for class A IP address, that is 0.255.255.255. In OSPF configuration, wildcard mask is required, and ahead of this wildcard mask you need to specify the area for that OSPF router configuration with its number. So here ahead of area you have to include the number of that area. The area number can be lying between 0 to 2 raised to 32 minus 1, because area is represented with 32 bits. So the minimum value of minimum area number will be 0, and the maximum area number can be 2 raised to 32 minus 1. In case this numbers, area numbers can be converted to appropriate area ID. For example, area 0 is represented as 0.0.0.0 with the help of 32 bits, and area number 2 raised to 32 minus 1 will be denoted as 255.255.255.255. Okay. Now here in this configuration we are going to configure area 0. Area 0 is always the backbone area for OSPF routers. This area 0 we are going to configure. Single area configuration will be observed in today's simulation. Area 0 is connected to all neighboring areas in OSPF. So all neighboring areas, all the areas which are there in the network are connected to area 0. The other areas may have the number area 1, area 2, area 3 and so on. All these areas should be connected with area 0. Now here similarly the other networks can be advertised on these router 0. Similar steps can be configured on router 1 and router 2 as well. Then next is to check out the bandwidths available on the different interfaces of this router. It can be checked with the command show interface and that interface number. Note down the bandwidth, and if you wish to change the bandwidth, then you can use the command on the particular interface bandwidth 5000, and did not mention the unit here, only the value of that bandwidth should be mentioned in the bandwidth command. Similarly, you can follow the steps on the remaining two routers. Then check OSPF tables by using the command show IP route. There are 3 tables in OSPF. The routing table which shows the best paths, that can be checked with the show IP route command, or you can use the show IP route OSPF just to note down the paths learned through OSPF only. The directly connected paths will not be displayed with this command. And the show IP OSPF neighbor command will display the neighbor table of OSPF, and show IP OSPF database will show the entries for the OSPF databases. Now after this you can activate the WAN3 link by using no shut command on the appropriate serial interface. And after activating this WAN3 link, again check for the updated routing tables, OSPF updated routing tables, and now try to analyze the updated routing tables and the cost metric in the updated routing tables. Now this completes the OSPF configuration and checking of the routing tables. Now you can check the network connectivity between the end devices using the ping command on the router, or you can use the ping command between any two end devices, or you can trace out the complete routing path using the traceroute command. traceroute for particular network address, or you can even use the traceroute command for the particular IP address belonging to that network. So this completes the configuration details of the OSPF routers. Now these are the steps for configuration, which are just the repetition of the explanation of the previous configuration steps. You can note down these steps. And after configuring the OSPF routers, you can note down the updated routing tables for router 0, router 1 and router 2. You have to note down the routing table entries before the activation of WAN link, after the activation of WAN 3 link, and observe the changes in the routing tables, or you have to observe the changes in the cost metric calculation before the activation of WAN 3 link and after the activation of WAN 3 link. Now as an output, you can include all these screenshots, and after including the outputs, you have to analyze all the outputs and draw some conclusions from all the observations from the outputs. Now let us move on to the Cisco Packet Tracer to configure the OSPF. Now this is the topology which is considered for configuration of a single area in OSPF area 0. There are 3 routers over here. The IP addressing scheme is already explained to you. Now I will directly configure the OSPF commands on the routers. On router 0, select the CLI tab. In CLI tab, first of all, give enable command to become the privileged user. On this, give the configure terminal command. Now once you are in configuration mode of router 0, here you can find out the host name of the router is router 0 because I have changed the host name, and I have also performed the IP address configuration as explained earlier in that PowerPoint presentation. Let me show you that IP address configuration here. On the router 0, you can see the IP address is configured on fast serial interface, serial interfaces. But the serial interface 3/0 is in down state. It is not activated. That is WAN 3 link is not activated yet on router 0. Similarly, the WAN 3 link is not activated on router 2 as well. You can see here serial interface 3/0 of router 2 is in down state, and the IP addresses are configured on router 2 also. Similarly, the IP addresses are configured on the router 1, and both the links of router 1 are in active state. Now, there are 3 links on this router, not only 2. All the 3 links are in active state. Now let us configure the OSPF commands on this router 0. On router 0, we have to assign the router ID process. First of all, initiate the OSPF process. So command is router OSPF and process ID. Let the process ID be 10 over here. So with this command, the OSPF process is initiated on this router 0. Now next is to advertise the neighbors. The command to advertise the neighbors is network. The IP address of the directly connected networks, first of all, we'll consider the WAN network, network 10.0.0.0. Its wildcard mask is 0.255.255.255 and area with its number. We are considering area 0 over here. That's it. Now similarly, configure the other directly connected network on this router. The other directly connected network on this router is 172.16.0.0. Its wildcard mask will be 2 octets low and 2 octets high for class B. Similarly, configure or advertise the third directly connected neighbor on this router, which is 172.18.0.0. Again, this is the class B IP address, so the wildcard mask will remain same. I'm sorry, here the third network on this router is 172.20.0.0 instead of 18.0. So I'll correct it here. The wildcard mask will remain same, and area ID will area number will also remain same. Now the OSPF commands are configured on this router 0. But before configuring these commands, I should have shown you the routing table entries of this router. Now to deactivate this routing commands, OSPF routing commands, I'll use the command no router OSPF and its process number, so that this OSPF process is removed from this router. Now let us first of all check the routing table on this router 0. The command is show IP route. There are two directly connected networks on this router. Now let us repeat all the configuration commands for OSPF. The OSPF process is initiated with router OSPF 10. Then we need to advertise the networks, directly connected networks or directly connected neighbors on this router 0 with the network command, which includes the IP address of the network and the wildcard mask and the area number. So these three directly connected networks are advertised on this router. Now similarly, we can configure the OSPF commands on router 1. Before configuring the OSPF commands, let me show you the routing table. Before configuration of OSPF, show IP route. This router is having three directly connected networks, 20.0s, 172.16.0.0 network, 172.18.0.0 network, and now let us configure the OSPF commands on this router. So first command is to initiate the OSPF process, router OSPF process ID 100. Then next, advertise the neighbors on this router. The neighbors can be advertised with network command, network 20.0.0.0. This is class A, for which the wildcard mask will be 1 octet low and remaining 3 octets high, which is exactly the reverse of the mask for class A. Ahead of this, we have to mention the area and its number. Similarly, advertise the remaining two networks on this router. The other network on this router is 172.18.0.0. Now this is class B network. For class B, the wildcard mask will have 2 octets low and 2 octets high. So here I have to delete one of this 255 number and replace it by 0. The wildcard mask here is, or let me write the command again, complete command. Network 172.18.0.0. The wildcard mask for this is 0.0.255.255, and ahead of this we have to mention the area. Okay, I'll write it again. Network 172.18.0.0, wildcard mask 0.0.255.255, and area 0. Similarly, the third network has to be advertised on this router. The third network on this router is 172.16.0.0. The wildcard mask will remain same and area number will remain same. Now, after advertising these networks, the OSPF configuration is complete on this router, and you can observe here that this router has developed the neighbor adjacency with the router 0, and it is trying to load the link state database. Loading is done and it is now in full state. Now similarly, configure the OSPF commands on routers 2. On router 2, let me show first of all the routing table entries without the OSPF configuration first. show IP route. Now here you can observe only the directly connected networks on this router. Now we need to configure the OSPF commands on this router. OSPF and the process ID, let's say 1000. Now the next is to advertise the directly connected networks on this router. Network 30.0.0.0. The wildcard mask for this is 0.255.255.255 and area is 0. Another network on this router is 172.18.0.0. 172.18.0.0 and the wildcard mask is 0.0.255.255. So here let me write the command again. Network 18.0.0, wildcard mask 0.0.255.255 and area 0. Similarly, advertise the third network on this router. Network 172.20. The router is developing the neighbor adjacency. Network 172.20.0.0. The wildcard mask 0.0.255.255 and the area number is area 0. Area number is 0. Now in this way we have configured the OSPF on router 2 as well. Now let us check one by one the OSPF updated routing tables on each of the router. On router 0, we'll check the routing table now and observe the updated routing tables. Show or do show IP route in the config mode. Do show IP route. Now here you can observe that the OSPF updated entries are there in this routing table. The 30.0.0.0 network is reachable with an AD value of 110 and the total cost of 61 as I explained you earlier. And this is reachable via the gateway 162.16.0.2 via serial 2/0 interface, and the time to reach that network is 43 microseconds. Now this is the updated routing table, OSPF updated routing table when WAN 3 link is not activated. Here in this routing table you can see C is the entry for the directly connected network and O is the entry for the network learned through the OSPF protocol. Similarly, you can observe the updated routing tables on the other routers. The command is show IP route. So here also you can see the directly connected networks for this router 1 and the networks learned through OSPF. Similarly, on router 2, you can check the updated routing tables using do show IP route command and observe the metrics as well as the gateways and the path learned through the OSPF routers, OSPF routing protocol. Now let us check the bandwidths on each of the routers. You have noted down the metric for reaching the networks from the routers, and the metrics also, cost metrics you have noted. For example, for 30 dot network the cost is 61. Now you can check the bandwidth using the interface command, interface serial 2/0 Command is show interface serial 2/0. So here you can observe the bandwidth on the serial interface is 5000. The default bandwidth was 128 kbps. I have changed it to 5000 kbps. So according to this 5000 kbps and the other link bandwidths as shown in the diagram, the metric cost metric from router 0 to 30. Network is 61. Fine. Similarly, you can check the bandwidths on other interfaces of other routers and use those bandwidths for calculating the cost metric. Now let us activate the WAN 3 interface on each of the router. Now let me go on the serial interface 3/0 of this router and activate it. So I'll be first of all going on the I'll be using first of all the configuration terminal command config t. Conf t or configure terminal. Now once I'm on this mode, I can enter the serial interface which I need to activate, serial 3/0. Now the command here should be no shut to activate the interface. The interface is now activated. But it will activate only when the other terminal on the same interface is activated, that is on router 2. Now let us move on to interface serial 3/0 of this router 2 and activate the interface here with the no shut command. The interface is in upstate now and you can observe the green marks on both the terminals of this interface. So WAN 3 link is now activated. Now once it is activated, let us check again the updated routing tables and observe the change in the cost metric. The updated routing tables can be checked with the command show IP route. Now here you can observe the change in the routing metric or change in the cost metric to reach the 30. Network from router 0, which is learnt through OSPF. The cost metric is now changed to 14 as I explained you earlier. You can check similarly the routing tables, updated routing tables on the remaining two routers, router 1 and router 2. Here I have shown the routing table before activation of WAN 3 link on router 0 and after activation of WAN 3 link on router 0. This is the updated routing table after activation of WAN 3 link, and you can observe the addition of this this directly connected network in this router 0 routing table. The network 170.20.0.0 is now added in this routing table. It was not previously present in this routing table. Fine. You can observe each and every entry and find out the difference before the activation of WAN 3 link and after activation of WAN 3 link. Now let me show you the other tables on this OSPF router, how to check the remaining tables on the OSPF router. Show OSPF database. OSPF database is to check the routing table for the OSPF database. The OSPF database can be checked with the command, with this command show IP OSPF database. So command should be show IP OSPF database. Show IP OSPF database. Here you can see the database entries. The database shows the link ID. It shows the advertiser router. It shows the age of that link, and it shows the sequence number, checksum, and the link count. The link count is specified as 5 over here. This link count specifies the number of links which this router can reach. Router 0 can reach. Router 0 can reach 5 different links in the network. And age specifies the maximum age counter in seconds. This is the maximum age counter in seconds. Now similarly we can check for the OSPF neighbor. The command is show IP OSPF neighbor. Now this command will show the neighbor table of OSPF. Here you can see the neighbor IDs, that is IP addresses, the priority of those neighbor routers. A router with the highest priority becomes the designated router in OSPF. You can observe the full state is achieved by this router. Full state of OSPF is achieved by this OSPF router. The dead time is the time left for which the router waits to receive hello packet from the neighbor before declaring it as dead. And the other addresses are included in this neighbor table. This address is nothing but the IP address of the interface to which the neighbor is directly connected, and the interface number. This router 0 is directly connected to serial interfaces 3/0 and 2/0 with these IP addresses, so that are shown over here. Similarly, you can check the OSPF neighbor tables and the OSPF database entries on the remaining two routers. So this completes the OSPF configuration and the checking of the OSPF routing tables, updated OSPF routing tables, and checking for the OSPF neighbor tables and database tables. So thanks for patient listening. After completion of this experiment, you can update these routing tables before the activation of WAN 3 link and after the activation of WAN 3 link, and draw a proper conclusion. Thank you.